Chapter 11, Lesson 3, Solve Radical Equations. So we've already worked with square roots, and now we're going to actually solve some problems here with their variables that are within the radicals. So let's look at this. An equation contains a radical expression with a variable, and the radicand is a radical equation. So if there's an x underneath the radicand, then it is a radical equation. So the way that you approach these is actually pretty similar to the way you approach any sort of problem like this. You go ahead and you isolate, in this case here, this is 16 times the square root of x minus 4 is equal to 0. So you're going to get all the constants on one side of the equation. So you do that by adding 4 to both sides. Then you end up with this part here, which is 16 times the square root of x is equal to 4. Then you divide both sides by 16. You divide both sides by 16, you end up with 4 over 16, which is equal to 1/4. Then you go ahead and square both sides, because that gets rid of that symbol there, the radicand. It gets rid of this when you square both sides. So that's very important. When you square both sides, what ends up happening is that then you have 1/4 squared is equal to x, and so it's 1/16. So let's look at a couple of other examples here. So all I want to do is, in this case here, I want to first of all add 13 to both sides, just the way I would with any sort of equation, trying to isolate the variables, so equal to 13. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 5. When I end up doing that, I'm going to end up with square root of x is equal to 13 divided by 5. So then I square both. I'm going to end up with the answer is going to be x. So I'm going to square both. X is equal to 169 divided by 25. You can simplify that as well. That would be, let's see here, it would be 6 and 19/25. Be one way of doing it, simplifying it that way. So, similar sort of thing here. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to, in this case here, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Yes, I know that there's something underneath here. I can't do anything about the minus 3 until I get rid of the square root symbol though. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that 12. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides, so that'll end up with 5 square root of x minus 3 is equal to, add 12 to both sides, so it's going to be equal to 30. Divide both sides by 5. X divided by 3 is equal to 6. The square root of x divided by 3 is equal to 6. Square both sides. X minus 3 is equal to 36. And then add 3 to both sides, so you end up with x is equal to 39. Now, one thing you should always be doing is you should always be checking your answers. So plug that back in there. And you should have done that with the other one too. So that's going to be 39. If I plug that back in where the x is here, it's going to be 39 minus 3 is going to be 36. 36, take the square root of it, that's 6. 6 times 5, that's 30. 30 minus 12 is 18. So that works. Just like back here, if I plug this into there, into that value there, I'm going to end up with the correct answer. Let's do another one here. In this case here, this one's actually easier than the other ones. You're just going to square both sides. X plus 2 is equal to 4x minus 7. Now you got variables on both sides. You're going to subtract an x from both sides. So it's going to be 2 is equal to 3x minus 7. You got to add 7 to both sides. You end up with 9 is equal to 3x. So x is going to be equal to 3. Does that work when we plug it back in there? That's going to be, the left-hand side is going to be square root of 5. The right-hand side is going to be square root of 5. So yeah, those two things are equal. Same sort of problem here, but it's going to be square both sides. You end up with x plus 3 is equal to 3x minus 5. So again, subtract x from both sides. You end up with 3 is equal to 2x minus 5. Add 5 to both sides, you end up with 8 is equal to 2x. So x is going to be equal to 4. plug 4 back in there. Check your answer. On the left-hand side, that would be the square root of 7, because 4 plus 3 equals 7. On the right-hand side, it's going to be 12 minus 5 under the radicand, and so that is going to be square root of 7 also, so you know you got the right answer. Same sort of thing here, except for the only step is I got to move stuff over to the right-hand side. So this is going to be 5x minus 12 is equal to square root of 2x plus 9. So when I do that, square both sides. Now it's just like those other problems that we already did. So I'm not going to continue that. One thing that can happen, though, is sometimes when you square both sides of an equation, you can go ahead and have something that ends up being called an extraneous solution, which is a solution that doesn't work. And really this only happens when you have an x, and you're squaring that x, so you end up with an x squared, and then underneath you have something that's not an x squared. In this case here, let's look at what I'm talking about. To solve this, what I would do is I would square both sides, so it would be x squared is equal to 2x plus 24. So when I move everything over to try and factor it, it's going to be this. So x is going to be equal to x minus 6 is one of the factors, and x plus 4 is the other. That's going to be equal to 0. So what are the possibilities? Minus 4 and 6. So now I've got to plug these back into here and see if these work, because they might not. As a matter of fact, you can tell right now, first thing I do when I plug that in there, this one's not going to work. Because when I do, it's going to say negative 4 is equal to the square root of 2 times negative 4, which would be negative 8, plus 24. Now, if this here, if you think about it, this would be negative 4 is equal to the square root of 16. It doesn't work because basically it just doesn't, because you need a negative value in front here for this to work, and we don't have that here. So this is an example of what's called an extraneous solution. So this is why it's important to, again, plugging each of these in there. When you plug 6 into there, you end up with 6 is equal to 2 times 6, which is 12, plus 24. And that actually works because it will end up being 6 is equal to the square root of 36. So that's true. So this one here is the true solution. This one here is an extraneous solution, one that does not work. That we will spend more time on tomorrow in class. Good luck.